Often what happens when we get to seven figures, particularly if it's your first time there, is that you can find yourself working harder, working more, surrounded by more chaos, with a larger team. Yes, you're doing slightly larger revenues than you used to be, but your profitability is either decreased or remained the same. And you might be asking yourself, what am I doing wrong? Why isn't this progressing beyond this persistent glass ceiling that seems to be capping the growth potential not only of myself, but perhaps equally as importantly, of the business? Here's the thing, guys, and this is why you're exhausted. You're exhausted because you're doing everything. You're doing everything by way of breadth, and you're doing everything by way of depth. Let me explain what I mean by both of those things. It will resonate with you incredibly accurately and deeply, and then we'll talk solution. Your business, every business only has 6 elements, right? We market things, we then sell things, we develop and deliver products, we operationalize, we manage the finances, and we've got people, which are the 6th element, which glue things together. So we've got marketing, sales, product, ops, finance, people, right? You're doing everything by way of breadth, because if you're doing a marketing campaign or you want to release a new Facebook ad campaign or strategy, whatever it might be, you're either doing it or you're overseeing it very closely. If we look at sales, if you're developing new scripts or want to refine or optimize your sales process, you're either doing it or you're overseeing it very closely. If you're developing a new product or service or a new way of delivering your product or service, you're either doing it or you're overseeing it very closely. If you want to make operational improvements or start developing processes in the business, you're the one that's either doing it or overseeing it very closely. From a financial perspective, you're either doing it or hopefully you're overseeing it very closely. And from a people management and leadership perspective, the energy and the drive in the organization is still coming from you. So you're doing all things by way of breadth. Let's talk depth. As an entrepreneur, you can be wearing 4 hats, right? So let's work our way up. The first hat is the hat of a technician. Now, a technician is somebody or a bunch of somebodies with their hands on the tools. Technicians are the people who do the do. Technicians are the people who do the work and hopefully do it incredibly well. It's a labor of love. They love it. They pour their blood, sweat, and tears into doing the work. It's an incredibly important function. The next hat that you can be wearing as an entrepreneur is manager. Now, the hat of the manager is managing the people with their hands on the tools. The next hat you can be wearing as an entrepreneur is that of the leader. Very distinct from manager. The hat of the leader, the job of the leader, is to ensure people are intrinsically motivated to perform. Okay, management and leadership often get conflated in traditional business thinking and literature and a lot of business seminars or universities. They talk about management and leadership as if it's the same thing. It is not. Management and leadership, other than the fact that there are people at the middle of both of them, have nothing in common. They are distinctly different. Management is accountability, it's numbers, it's KPIs, it's checking in, it's project plans, it's project progressions, it's very intellectual stuff, it's head stuff. Leadership is, do we have a vision that people care about? Do they know what the vision is? Can they feel what the vision is? Do they care about it genuinely? How does the team feel? Is everybody inspired? Do we know where we're going? This is incredibly hard work and there's a lot of change. Do we know that it's worth it because we're moving somewhere important, right? That's leadership. Very different. If management is head, leadership is heart. You need to be good at both, right? So the first 3 hats: technician, doing the work; manager, managing the people who are doing the work; leader, ensuring people are intrinsically motivated to perform. 4th hat is the hat of an entrepreneur. Right? The hat of the entrepreneur, like if you were to only wear the hat of an entrepreneur, and many of us don't, many of us want to wear 2 hats, I'll get to that in a moment. But just the hat of the entrepreneur is like, if you wanted to dilute yourself to a point where you were just wearing that hat and that alone, it would be, send me a board pack, board report 7 days before a board meeting. I'll review the board pack, I'll send you any questions. I'll contribute at board meetings. I'll help set strategy. If you need networks, call me. If you need money, call me. Otherwise, here's the keys, go. That's just wearing the hat of an entrepreneur. One thing I love about this generation of business owners, I don't say generation by age, but by stage, like this generation of SMEs, 7 to 8 figure businesses in Australia right now, is that many of us don't want to just wear the hat of the entrepreneur because we love what we do. We want to be entrepreneur and leader. We want to lead the organization. Generally speaking, as entrepreneurs, we want to wear the hat of the entrepreneur, the hat of the leader, right? Because you're somebody who's charismatic, you're somebody that people want to follow, and that's your song. That's you in your highest and best use when you're in leadership. As entrepreneurs, we suck at management. This is true for 80% of us. We suck at management. And we want to participate and play the technician role when we want to, not because we have to. And so the two hats you need to wear as the entrepreneur are leader, entrepreneur, 95% of the time, doing technician stuff 5% of the time because you want to, not because you have to. When I'm on stage, that's me wearing the hat of the technician, right? I do it because I fucking love it. I do it because I think I was put here to do it, right? And so I would never want to get to a point where I'm so diluted that I don't do that anymore. However, so I'm doing it because I want to. However, if I had to do it every day, then I'd feel like boxed in by it. I'd feel claustrophobic by it. And so it's like, okay, I want to elevate myself to a point where the organization can run without me. I want to set the vision, set the strategy, lead the organization, shape the organization. And I want to do technician 5% of the time because I love it and because I want to and because it helps me, it helps rejuvenate me, it helps me stay juiced, it helps me stay connected to you. It's super important, right? But if you are managing an organization, let's say it's a 7-figure company, it probably still resembles, the way you're managing it, probably still resembles a startup company in that you're doing everything by way of breadth, marketing, sales, product, ops, finance, people, and everything by way of depth, technician, manager, leader, entrepreneur. Because you're wearing all of those hats, you can't possibly do anything well. Right? And if you're doing all of that, you are probably spending a lot of time in management. And here's why. Guys, in startup stage, you hire the people you can afford. Right? So let's say when you were doing between 100K and $1 million bucks revenue, you hire the people you can afford. That's fine. You do that out of necessity. Right? Because you can't pay extraordinary wages and all this sort of stuff. And so you got used to paying really low wages. However, you're now doing 2 million or 4 million or 8 million and you're still paying really low wages. Look at people like this. You either pay in money or you pay in time. I'll say that again. When it comes to your employees, you either pay in money or you pay in time. Meaning, if you want to pay really low wages, the same you were in startup phase, then you're going to pay in time. You're going to pay in leadership time. You're going to pay in management time. You're going to pay in therapy time. You're going to pay in instruction time. You're going to pay in guidance time, right? And so one of the solutions here is stop paying startup wages. Yes, I'm actually encouraging you to pay higher wages. Why? Because if you're the one in the organization still doing everything by way of breadth and depth, it's because I can deduce just from that alone that you do not have enough people around you with the commercial experience or even the departmental experience, marketing, sales, product, whatever it might be, to take some of that commercial weight off your shoulders. You're a genius with 1,000 helpers. You're playing entrepreneur, manager, leader, you're paying technician a lot of the time, and then you've got a bunch of technicians, and so all of the decision making, all of the management, all of the leadership, even a lot of the technician stuff still rests on you. So, 2 fixes. Number 1, reassess how much you're paying in wages, particularly for those who you want to take responsibility of a function. So they're taking responsibility of a function, or they're a leader in the organization. Surround yourself with people with a greater degree of experience, a greater degree of nuance, who can take responsibility and accountability for achieving outcomes that don't need constant direction from you. Number 2, start to slowly, one by one, build a leadership team. The way I build businesses, I want a director of marketing, a director of sales, a director of product development and delivery, a director of operations, and eventually you don't need a CFO for a long time. I reckon you need a CFO probably around like 15 mil or something. And so, if you're doing 4 mil, you don't need a CFO, but you might want an outsourced CFO that you catch up with 2 hours every month, and a head of finance, let's call it, who can manage the financials. But particularly in marketing, sales, product, and ops, I want a leader in every function. Now, you don't do that overnight. You build a leadership team one by one, progressively. But ultimately, that's a person who heads up marketing, who takes accountability and responsibility for achieving the commercial outcomes of that function every single month. Same with sales, same with product, same with operations and driving more operational rigor into the organization. That's what you need to now start doing. Build a leadership team. Stop doing everything yourself. Reassess how much you're willing to pay for wages. But if you need to pay substantial sums in order to get some great people around you, but that can help you build a $10 or a $20 million business or even a $6 million business. It is an investment very well made. In the comments below, I'm interested. What do you think of all of the points that I've discussed in the video, what is the number one that resonates with you the most, right? That you are committing to me now to do? Of all of the things we've discussed, what's resonated with you most and what can you do about it? In the comments below, I'll be there. See you there.